In the wide, open stretches of remote mountains desert in New Mexico, where wild horses had roamed free for generations, lived a woman named Clara Bennett. She'd spent over 40 years working with horses, and at 63, she thought she'd seen it all. But one crisp morning, as the sun peeked over the mountains and painted the sky in soft hues of pink and orange, something extraordinary unfolded on the horizon. Clara stood by her kitchen window, coffee forgotten in her hand, as her border collie, Duke, began barking furiously. Her gaze followed his line of sight toward the eastern ridge. Through the early morning haze, she saw the silhouette of a lone horse making its way across the rugged terrain. At first, she assumed it was one of her own ranch horses, but something didn't feel right. Through her binoculars, she caught a glimpse of a powerful stallion. Deep chestnut coat, black mane flowing like a river in the wind. He moved with purpose, each step deliberate, careful. And then something strange caught her eye. He wasn't alone. Riding on his back was a small foal, frail, limp, barely moving. The sight took her breath away. Wild horses avoided people like the plague. Stallions especially. They knew the danger humans posed. Capture, removal, loss of freedom. Yet here he was, coming straight for her ranch. Clara's heart raced as she grabbed her jacket and stepped outside. This wasn't just any rescue story. This was something deeper, something that would change everything she believed about animals, family, and love. The stallion approached slowly, his body weary, eyes tired but full of determination. As he reached the fence line, Clara could see every detail. The foal was not his own, a paint horse delicate, with white markings that suggested domestic breeding. His breathing was shallow, his tiny body trembling from exhaustion, dehydration, starvation, abandonment. Clara spoke softly. "Easy there, big guy." Her voice was calm, steady, filled with the kind of authority that only decades of experience could bring. "I can see you brought me something special." The stallion didn't flinch. He didn't bolt. Instead, he stood still, watching her, waiting. She reached out and touched his neck. To her amazement, he leaned into her hand, almost as if he were saying, "You're the one I came for." Carefully, gently, she lifted the foal from the stallion's back. The baby stirred slightly, lifting his head just enough to show life behind tired eyes. Clara cradled him close, whispering, "You did good, boy. You saved his life." Behind her, the stallion watched closely. Then, instead of turning back into the wild, he followed her toward the barn. Dr. Emily Hart arrived within the hour, a seasoned veterinarian with over 25 years of experience. She had seen countless equine emergencies. But when Clara told her what happened, a wild stallion walking 40 miles across the desert carrying an orphaned foal, her skepticism was clear. A wild stallion? Carried him 40 miles, she asked, raising an eyebrow. But as she examined the foal, the evidence became undeniable. There were pressure marks on his sides, signs of being supported by another horse's legs during transport. His coat was worn from lying against the stallion's back. And yet, no signs of trauma. Only exhaustion. "This little guy should be dead," Dr. Hart whispered, checking his vitals. Without milk or protection, a newborn wouldn't survive more than a day in this heat. But somehow he had survived. And somehow, the stallion had kept him safe. Outside the barn, the stallion remained, not pacing, not wandering off, just standing there, watching. "He's not leaving," Clara said, peering through the barn window. "It's like he wants to make sure the foal gets help." As the hours passed and the foal stabilized, Clara and Dr. Hart pieced together the events. The storm 3 days prior, the scattered herd, the mother found dead from lightning strike, and the foal left alone, vulnerable. That's when they realized the stallion hadn't just stumbled upon the foal. He had been watching Clara's ranch for weeks, scouting, learning, planning. He had made a choice, a conscious, deliberate decision to save a life, even if it meant trusting humans. They named the foal Lucky. Over the next few weeks, something remarkable happened. The stallion, whom Clara affectionately called Guardian, didn't leave. He stayed near the barn, checking in regularly, watching, waiting, protecting. When Lucky was strong enough to venture outside, Guardian greeted him with soft nickers. Sound so gentle, so full of care, that even Clara felt tears well up. Lucky responded instantly, like a child hearing his father's voice. They understand each other, Dr. Hart observed, watching their interactions. Guardian is treating Lucky like his own. Feeding time was especially touching. Guardian positioned himself where he could see Lucky eat, relaxing only when he saw the foal gaining strength. Clara faced a difficult decision. Should Lucky remain with humans, or return to the wild with Guardian? But the answer soon became clear. Guardian had chosen this path. He had become a father, not by blood, but by bond. Months turned into a year. Lucky grew stronger, taller, more confident. Under Guardian's watchful eye, he developed skills beyond what most domestic horses ever learned. Predator awareness, natural instincts, survival techniques passed down by a wild stallion who had once walked 40 miles to save him. Clara opened her ranch to researchers, biologists, and animal lovers alike. Word spread quickly. Guardian and Lucky had redefined what people understood about animal intelligence, compassion, and the depth of parental love. Visitors came from far and wide, inspired by the impossible family that had formed in the desert. Scientists studied Guardian's behavior, documenting how he adjusted his teaching methods based on Lucky's growth, how he intervened when human interaction seemed stressful, how he evaluated new arrivals at the ranch, and often took them under his wing. He remembered what it felt like to be lost. He remembered what it meant to be rescued. And now, he was doing the same for others. 2 years later, Lucky stood tall at nearly 15 hand high, a magnificent blend of domestic training and wild wisdom. Guardian, still proud and strong, showed no sign of returning to the wild. His mission had evolved, from rescuer to teacher to lifelong protector. Their bond had grown into something rare, something beautiful, a relationship built on trust, respect, and unconditional love. Clara watched them graze together in the evening light, silhouettes stretching long across the desert floor. Some families are born, she whispered to herself. Some are made. Guardian's journey, those 40 miles across the desert, had changed more than just 2 lives. It had opened hearts. It had shifted perspectives. It had proven that love doesn't require genetics, that sacrifice knows no boundaries, that sometimes the greatest acts of courage come not from instinct, but from choice. Moral lesson: love isn't defined by species or circumstance. It's defined by the willingness to risk everything for someone else. If this story moved you, touched your heart, or reminded you of the power of compassion, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more incredible stories of hope, healing, and the unbreakable bonds between animals and humans. Leave a comment below. Tell us about a moment when you witnessed extraordinary kindness between animals or experienced the beauty of a chosen family. Your story might inspire our next video. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. Remember, sometimes the most precious cargo isn't what we carry in our arms. It's what we carry in our hearts.